Hi guys and welcome, it's Amanda here, Creative Gardener, and I'm dropping my gloves already. Let's just pick them up. Now, I thought that before the end of the year I would give you a quick tour of what's happening in the garden. I'm still catching up with myself, so there's still stuff that I haven't yet managed to show you and share, but I will be sharing in individual videos leading up to it, so you'll see how things progressed to this particular point. My hair might be looking a bit glistening because I'm using some of my aloes, and I'm making a special well, you can use it as a shampoo, but I'm using it to condition my hair and see what other things I can do. I don't know if I look different because I made a little face mask with it, and I don't know, I'm not sure whether it's taken off a couple of years or so. Anyway, but yeah, so let's get started and do this tour. I'm really excited to take you around so that you can see in 2019 what it looks like, and there's so many other things that I'd love to do, and you're going to join me on that journey, but we're going to have to catch up. Anyway, so let's go. Okay, so before we step over the threshold into the green space, I think I probably wanted to look at the things that worked this year and aha moments, and that's probably what I'll cover on this video, because you know, I don't want to just go around and say, oh, look at this, look at this, look at this, this is growing and blah, blah, blah. But I want to actually tell you some of the things that actually worked in the garden, and some of the things that I'm working on and hopefully looking forward to. Okay, so I love recycling, and I'm starting with that and looking over at this pile of this is from the mahogany tree just here, and the mahogany tree, when it was planted, a quick view of the underground nursery. When it was planted, I think it was planted and then the house was built, but so whoever planted it either didn't know that a house was going to be built there, or the person who built the house came and found it there and didn't want to move it. But it actually grows to about 40 foot, and it often grows like all the way up there, and it blocks out any view that you might have from the roof terrace from my studio. So we've cut it back, and I think this is the second time in say a year and a half that we've cut it back, and so there's a lot of wood left over, and then some of the other wood is from the river tamarind that is around. Now the green ones it was cut back and it grows really quickly. Anyway, so with the wood, I've been utilizing it in the studio because, again, this channel is called Creative Gardener, and it's not only how I creatively design my garden space and use it and utilize it, it's also some of the things that are found in the garden. How can you use it in a creative way? So, you know, looking at the dyes, and, you know, again, the wood that you can use to make jewelry, to make wall hangings, and I incorporate everything. So the cotton that I grew, using that as well in the textiles. What else? I found these. So these are dotted around the soil, so they just kind of pop up when it rains and the soil, some of the soil is washed away. Now this has been here for hundreds of years. The land that we're standing on was part of a plantation, and so what we believe is that these were, you know, pots that were made at the time. You've got the monkey pots which would store water. You've got other pots that were used to you know, store grains and things like that. And so over the years they would have got discarded, I guess, and then whoa, two birds just flew so close to my ear. Anyway, so I've been collecting it, and what I want to do is, again, another creative project. So the other thing that's been like a learning for me is how quickly things grow. So I've been moving things around, trying to plan things, and the things that have grown really well are my moringa trees. Look at my lemongrass. Now I've got three of these. Yeah, one I've just cut back. These I've got to harvest the seeds, but 3 of these, and it was one small plant in a little pot. You know, the pot was about this big, and as it started growing, I split it up into 3, and they've all kind of really grown and taken off. And so one of the things I wanted to let you know is that there's nothing wrong in going to your local garden centre and getting plants. You know, like I wanted to start off and just grow from seeds. And it was just like, well, there's not everything that you can grow from seeds. Some things don't grow well for me from seeds. So my watermelon, pumpkin, squash, those sorts of things didn't grow well for me, but other things did. My lemon, you know, so whilst I can't grow watermelon, because I haven't yet found the right things to deter the bugs that I get, the stink bugs and the other squash bugs. Oh, it's dark. Oh, can you see it? Yeah. Look at that. So cute. I can grow other things. So the lemon tree, the papaya. I've just put these new papaya here, and I've got another variety of papaya. And so, you know, go to your garden centre and buy a small plant of something that you would like to grow, and see how you go with that. And then that avoids, like, you know, because there's so much disappointment where you plant something and it just dies back. And I've brought a couple of plants as well that I've placed in the ground, put it in, and they've just died back. So it's just like, you can't let that deter you, just keep on going. Now, there's something eating. I think I've noticed, see, I can't see any stink bugs on this. So I think I've got a locust in the garden. I've found like 2 or 3. And if it was a swarm, this whole place would be decimated. So I'm thankful it's just one and there's just a little bit of damage. But it's something I've just got to kind of keep an eye on. Anyway, so the other thing that I managed to combat, and I guess I'm still in a small way dealing with it, is the slope. So this garden, it slopes down that way and it's really noticeable at this particular point. I never noticed how much it did that. So it slopes down this way and it also slopes down that way. And so what I did with the beds is build them up. I created these beds and then I built them up. At the moment I've got sticks around, and some of the sticks came from the cotton tree and I didn't realise it was going to grow, but that actually isn't too bad, having a living fence. And so, yeah, I've tried to build it up as much as I can, but you've still got a slight slope, but it's not as bad as it was. And then every time I'm chopping and dropping, I'm dropping on these beds to build them up and to stop the soil, because what was happening, the soil was just running down into these kind of valleys. Valley. And so that was, to overcome that and to get plants growing here is, you know, wonderful for me. And then I wanted to plant things that it will help maintain the structure, so that, you know, if it's got deep roots, then it's less likely, the soil's less likely to run away. Another thing I was doing is I'm working on a really tight budget. So it's me. A lot of things have been either taken from cuttings, the seeds, like papaya. My husband buys papaya. He eats it every day. So that's where I get my papaya seeds from, and have grown and have reaped. As I said, I brought a small plant. I think so you can see here the lemongrass here, and this one here, and I've got one. Where is it now? Am I pointing? Oh no, I'm not pointing to it. There, it's just here. No, it's not there. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so it's here, and I just cut it back, and that was the plant. It must have cost about $6, a couple of quid. But look what I've got, and now look at the seeds that I can harvest. The other thing is to keep the I'm going to come back to cuttings as well. The other thing is to keep the grass down, so I don't have to, and the weeds, I don't have to come and weed as often as I would have to. In the beginning, all of these paths, and along here I've got 3 sections, so in between each section, the guy who comes and cuts the grass, he would have to cut that. And I just got fed up. It's just like, we're paying him to keep the path down, and it was just like, I want to get to a point where I don't have to, I can just come and spend like an hour and do, both sides, if not most of it. You come and just, it's just like therapeutic. Or if I'm here, I'll just pick up. And then where you stand on it, because there's like places where it's been like a path, because you're walking on it, it keeps it down. So experimenting with, like, this is shredded paper. I put shredded paper and then I put grass down, and that seemed to keep this quite maintained. And literally all I have to do is pick along the sides. This one, cardboard, I got the cardboard from my local supermarket. They're quite happy for you to take away the cardboard. So, and they have like big sheets of cardboard, as well as boxes. And they would just take what you want, basically. Because they just recycle it or chuck it out. I don't know. I'm just hoping that they recycle it. Anyway, so the only stubborn one is here, but I haven't yet I put a little bit of the cardboard at the top here and some of the shredded paper. But what I'm going to do is clear this bit and then put some more cardboard, put some more shredded paper, then a bit of cardboard, and then some of the grass that has been cut. So the other thing, like as I said about cuttings, is that it has been well worth waiting to see how things were going to grow, or just to not be too in a hurry to get things going. And one of the things I did was, there were some things I put down and then I've had to move them because either they're going to grow too big, or it got eaten, or it attracts a particular types of bugs. So I found the growing pumpkin attracted, gosh, I don't know what they, I can't remember what they're called. Squash bugs, yeah, squash bugs. They're red and they look like spiders, and there were just like millions of them. The stink bugs, I think I might have managed to get them under control, because this eggplant here, they were just all over this, and I was making up my own concoction. I mean, there's still there's some damage to a couple, the snails and the slugs as well. But there's some flowers here and there's some growing, so I'm hopeful that I'll get some more eggplants from there. But it was just like, you know, to get them under control, to get the slugs and the snails, there's a lot of handwork that goes into coming out, picking them off, and you have to do that regularly, especially after it rains. Anyway, so everything's just kind of like grown up really well. You know, I set my sights on, so it looks quite like it's looking like a little forest now, and I'm so pleased. This is the feel that I'm getting is what I wanted. And at the back you can see my wall of Mexican sunflower, and it's looking a bit because I haven't been able to cut them back. I want to cut them to about there, and that then will stimulate growth. But where I haven't been able to get to them, they're kind of looking a bit spindly, but they're still doing the job of, like, look at all of that in terms of, you know, nothing can get through there. Or, you know, the only small things, like I saw what did I see yesterday? It was a mongoose, and it went into the pile of mahogany. So I'm not actually fussed about it being here, as long as it doesn't eat any of the plants. I don't think they do, but they will we've got mice and rats in my neighbour's place, because they've got lots of fruit trees that are, you know, blooming, the neighbours over there. So there's a rat population, and they seem to be quite big. But the mongoose were brought on the island to kill the rats, and, you know, and then they just bred. So I'm not too fussed about them being here. Okay, what else have we got? So I've got some fruit trees around. We've got golden apple that are growing. As I say, the papaya, they were elsewhere, and I decided to move them. And they seem to be happy over here. And I've got some others which are a different variety, which I'm going to plant. My moringa, see, these are the drumsticks, which I would have shown you before in some of the other videos. All my moringa trees are coming on really well. And see that one at the back there? I've got 11 out in this general area growing. This one's growing really tall, but for some of them I'm gonna have to chop off a bit. So I'm gonna cut, like this one, I'm gonna cut it like about here, because it's senseless. I can't reach up there to harvest, and all these long drumsticks that are coming. This one's done really well, and if you can get them when they're young like this, they're more edible. They're still edible like this, but the outer skin is a bit tough. So where you can get them, where it's, yeah, they're long and thin. So that might have to be for this week. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that today. Anyway, so the Mexican sunflower really grew, and I've placed it around the rest of the garden, and it will probably be, because we're coming into the dry season, it will probably be in July, August, when we're hitting the rainy season again, where they start to pick up. So what I've got to do is, like with this one as well, I mean, it's picked up a little bit, but I'm going to cut it back, and then it will really kind of slow down in terms of growth. It won't grow as quickly as it has been, because I've been able to chop and drop, and these long ones on the beds, and to feed the beds. So these are kind of rich, the beds are rich with a lot of nutrients, and so, as I mentioned, the locust just killed this. So again, keeping an eye on what's going on. Look at my eggplant over there. Looks nice, but on the other side it was eaten by, I didn't take it off quick enough, and so the slugs and the snails got it. So you have to kind of pick them when they're kind of quite young to really be able to enjoy them. So the other thing I wanted to show you is what happens in the dry season. So it started already and the ground cracks as it dries out. We've got clay soils, so it just cracks. So I wanted to, I had the cardboard. So what I wanted to make sure was that there was enough layers down here to kind of just keep any moisture in, and not and as the beds as well, because the beds will just dry up, and then everything, when you come back, like when it starts to really, the rain stops, all of the weeds just die off. And it's just like, oh wow, okay, all of this just dies off. Anyway, so let's go through here. My cassava this year didn't do too well, but I'll probably cover that. And they're all kind of got this, I'm not sure whether it's a fungus or what. When you actually pick them, I've been picking a few early, the actual roots are fine, the cassava's fine. So I need to get this one out because I cut that off yesterday. So between now and February, which was when there is time to harvest, I'll be just using up these, and I'll probably have to, I'll be changing up. I've got them in 4 beds or 5 beds, and I'll probably be changing them up, not putting them in, and putting some more fruit trees down here, maybe some more papaya. Get some papaya in the back here, because Alan gets through a lot of papaya. So that's this second bed with, I've got some papaya at the front. Again, the moringa, pulling off some of the pods there. And again, this tree has to be cut back a bit. So this is the second section of beds. And again, the Mexican sunflower is in here to provide nutrients. And then I was given 2 of these. I've given this one. I was given all my aloes actually, and I've just been growing it over the years. But I was given this one. So the person that had it had loads of them, and they'd kind of like grown over like a section like this, and they just thrown it away. And I was just like, you can do so much with it, hence my hair pack that I put on. And I was given this one, and it just, now that it's got shade, it seems to prefer it better, but they were having some problems anyway. So yeah, and then all of these tiny little ones there are just growing well, probably not getting enough water, so I might have to water those. But look at all the babies, all the babies under there. I might have to cut, I think I'll probably cut these 2 hands off. Yeah, so those small ones under there can come out. And then I've got some other, look at this. Now these aren't doing as well as they should be, the papaya. What I had here initially was the sweet potato, and I learned again, I think the first year we kept them in too long, so they grew and died, and the ones that we were having were just small. And so I just thought maybe this isn't, in this particular section, this isn't really where we want to be growing papaya, and so I'm not too fussed about wanting to grow sweet potatoes, so I'm not too fussed about harvesting them there. I'll just leave this particular section with sweet potato and see what happens, and then put the papaya that I didn't have any place for these, and I hate wasting the seeds. The ones, especially the ones that grow, it's just like, I want to grow as many fruit trees as possible. And papayas are not cheap. So these probably need a bit of water, but I thought it was going to be rich enough. Again, that's why you have to kind of see, I'm okay with playing about with these particular papaya because I've got an abundance, and I want to test this area. And so, if they survive, that's great. I'm going to have a fruit. If they don't, it's a lesson learned, and it's, at least I know what I need in this particular section. And what it looks like is that, because again the slope here, see, again, that's why you have to test things out, see how things are going. It looks like the water runs down this way. Well, the water does run down this way, so I need to kind of build this up a bit so that it can kind of settle. This is a bit higher, and as I was cleaning up, I thought, okay, this is a nice spot to hide these things away from the front. So again, learning about the lay of your land, or whatever size space that you've got. The other thing, like these, look, I started growing guinnep, but guinnep actually grows into a big tree. So realistically, this is not the place for them. I'm going to be putting them out to the front. But it was just like, the grass needed cutting. I didn't have anywhere to put them at the time. So it was just like, okay, before they start dying, let me put them just here. And I've got some more in pots. So the other thing about recycling is that you can, there's a lot you can do. And I got some free tyres from my local tyre shop. And it was only recently that I learned that, it's obvious that all tyres are not made equal. But in terms of being able to recycle them in a way that you can create a pot out of, you have to be more mindful as to the type of tyres you get. So there's some more guinnep there. So my point being is that there are to turn your tyre inside out, you have to get a particular type of tyre, and one that you can, when you press the side, you can just press it with your finger. So this one's good, because what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to cut, and it's easy to cut. This one's easy to cut, or will be easy to cut, as opposed to this one. This is made, I don't even know what kind of car it was made for, but the tyre is a lot more, obviously the person changed it because it's probably got the cut, it's probably the cut and it lost the air. But I can't physically cut this with a knife. If you had one of those hacksaws, that would be different, but you've also got to turn it inside out. So if it's one of those tyres that is soft at the side, like this one is perfect, and I only just like this week, and I've just planted this, but I guess I can move it. So I've got a few that I can cut here, and some that I won't be able to. So this particular one is fine. That one, I might be able to get away with it. This one, definitely. But until I'm ready, I put these paddle plants, because they grow like profusely. Again, I went to the store. I went, it was Whole Town Festival, I think it was, and I brought one of these. It literally just looked like this, and it might have had a couple of the babies. And I've got like, I was going to say over 100. I haven't got over 100, but I've probably got about 50 plants from the one, because it just, look how it just, they just multiply really quickly, and the slugs and the snails like it. So we're going to get a quick move on. The other way I get some of my plants is by collecting seeds. So these particular plants were taken from seed, were grown from seed. They're in the wrong container. I have to plant them out, but I have to wait until it's a day that's kind of more overcast and not bright hot sun. And they grow into trees, and they have a really pretty off-white pinkish flower. And yeah, I've got some more around here. So I collect the seeds, and I want to say, and I just dash them, but I don't. There's a space by the house where I normally have my seeds. I've got my pomegranate there. It's going to start to rain. But I normally have my seeds, and they grow, and then I transplant them. So these are all from that process. And this is the third kind of space. The rain's coming. And again, it's got cassava that I'm not going to grow them here again. I'll probably need to grow them in another space. And my papayas that are doing quite well again, but I fight with the slugs and the snails. And then I've just got to do a little bit of weeding, so just to get some of these up and to hold them. So this is where there's a mongoose. There's a mongoose hiding. I don't know whether there's one or two. I don't think they're solitary. They must live as a family, but that's fine as long as they do their job. Okay, so this is the spot that I do a lot of test plants, and this is the dog, and I really don't know what he's eating. What are you eating? Anyway, so this, I've got some little plants that are growing here. They're from, my neighbour's got this plant which is like a climber, and it has some really lovely purple flowers, and so I got some of the seeds, and so I literally put the seeds here, and then they grow, and that's what that's what happened with these. These are plants, these are trees actually. The orange, it's like an orange blossom, and I need to move those. When they were in shock when I first, there was loads of them there. I moved about 30 so far, and of the 30, about 10 of them have survived. So I have to move these ones a lot more carefully because I don't want them to die. This is part of Barbados, and again I just planted it here because where it was in a pot growing, and they were being eaten, and so I had to move them. And so this one has survived. It had yellow flowers, which was lovely, and again along here, so this is my neighbour's on the other side. So what I wanted to have was like a natural screen, so that you could come out and not, well, you're still overlooked by the neighbour, but if you're not kind of in like a glass bowl. And so this area is called runaround, so we just try and maintain it. At the moment he's not allowed over in the food production area, but this at this side I've got the compost bin, and I just want to try and create another space that you could come out and you could sit and feel quite relaxed. And so there's still work to do, and that's the other thing. For me, sometimes I feel like really impatient and I want everything done now. But if you saw what this looked like when we first came, there was nothing here, and to see how we're getting plants in, and you've got the yellow flowers. Even my neighbours can enjoy the yellow flowers that are now on their side, because this Mexican sunflower, it can take over, and you really do have to keep cutting it back. If you look up there, I wanted to create an effect with the glass. It's still in the wrong position, but I want to be able to stand here and look up there and have the green reflected, almost like a secret garden kind of effect. Anyway, but it's coming, and then the path here. That Cole seems to have, I don't know what he does with those stones, but anyway, it was straight and in a nice straight line. But soon I'll be able to get some stepping stones made and, you know, incorporate some of my own designs. So where you can, you know, try and look out for things that will help you in doing the stuff that you want to do. So, you know, like under there was just an open space, and I just didn't like the look of it. So we got some pallets from the hardware store. They were just laying there, and I'll probably give them a lick of paint when I get the chance. And the idea for here as well is to clear these. I put again the broadleaf thyme I put there because I again wanted something green. It was just like a few rocks, and the broadleaf thyme, you don't even have to plant it. I just chucked them here and they've just grown. But I'm going to move them again, and I want to put some pallets and flatten it, and maybe put a little storage area and just have some plants in pots and make it just a little bit neater. And again, yeah, you know, there's things that you can do. Let's just go on the other side. There's things that you can do that will enhance your space and just allow you to take your time. So let's go. Okay, so these are the tyres that I turned inside out, and I think they look really nice. They're a bit dusty because it's just starting to rain again, so I'm gonna come back on this side. Yeah, so I think they look really nice, and I'm really pleased with how they turned out. And you know, when it rains, it doesn't matter that they're a bit dusty now, because that's the it's called marl, and so when we can eventually get this path concreted like that, they're just working on that, then you won't get that happening to the pots, but just needs to it could be wiped off, cleaned off, however. Let's just, I don't want to get wet. We're just gonna quickly walk it. See, when it rains, it comes down really quickly, so I don't want to get my camera wet. So I can stand in this bit because this is a little shelter. So with this, again, I have taken my time and, you know, created a living hedge, which, you know, come summer next year, is going to be, there's some other plants in between, and some plants, small plants now, but they will grow, and it will give a different effect, because I want this to be enclosed. And obviously, well, we're looking at, you know, in time being able to put a fence, but for the time being, I've managed to plant these grasses which grow really quick. I've just taken cuttings. I had a cutting from my old house, has now, there's 1, 2, 3, there's 5 out here, and 1 at the back and 1 at the side. So they grow really quickly, and I've not yet grown them from seeds, but I've got loads of seeds that I've collected that I'm going to see how they do, and whether so I want to put something along here. Now, I was thinking of the scarvola, which is that plant there, which forms a nice kind of hedge and is easy to maintain, and it spreads quite well. But I was thinking, you know, maybe the fountain grass again just along here, and it just gives you another different feel. So this could be like a path, or, you know, it's not open. I was going to say not open to the public, but it's just to access down there eventually. So that's the kind of, you know, when you're creating, And if you've got the budget, then you get it all done as and when you want. But if you're working to a really tight budget, and as I say, everything like this was done, this is time that it's taken me to put this in, as opposed to money. And you can ask friends, see if friends have got cut-ins available, or you can swap. And one of the things I'll be doing this year is doing a series on gardening on a budget, and how there are so many other things that you can do that will help you in your garden, and help you grow different types of plants for a fraction of the cost. See, the sun's come out again. So this is another thing that I wanted to work on. After 2 o'clock, I say after 1 o'clock, we get shade on this side. So what plants like sun in the morning and shade in the afternoon? Oh, so you're in the right spot. Well, you just need a bit more shade. I just found out the elephant's ears likes shade. So that's one of the things that I'll need to work on. So the fountain grass might not like full shade. So for like 6 to 8 hours, it will be in full shade. So if I was to try and put it along here, how would that be? Anyway, so as I said, this is just really an update. So everything's growing really well. I'm trying different things. I'm learning different things. I've got, look at this. Some of it's dead now. But this particular one here seems to like this particular spot. So this was the fern that started growing under the house. And I moved some and put it here thinking, well, if this one survived, then it will survive here. But it's not been the case. So I'm just going to have to utilize this one. Whatever's happening here is good. Just cut back some of the dead leaves, and just feed these pots, because I moved the pots, and I just need to provide my why aren't these my aloes here? They were doing so well where they were. Maybe it's dry. I need to water it. Yeah, that's the thing with pots. But once I put some of the, I've got lots of lizards around, once I put the Mexican sunflower that's growing on them, so this is then they will, let me finish the sentence, then they will do really well. So this is like the orange blossom, but it's not called orange blossom. And as I said, just down at the top of our road is about 10 trees, and I think it's the females that produce the seeds, and they just grow. So I just take them, and the seeds will open up just like here, and that's the red thing is what the seeds are. So I don't actually want them to grow here. I was just brought them down today. I'm going to put them down in the other area, and they'll just grow, and then I'll transplant them. It will take about a couple of months, but that's fine, because I've got others that are growing. But I like this area now. This is an area that I was going to do a rockery, but I like this feel now, and I just need some more plants that are kind of, once these are bigger, they'll just, that's mango, that shouldn't be there anyway, but they'll just, be more vibrant. The other thing I guess I could put there is the Mexican sunflower. I'll put some small, but then they'll take over, put some small plants in there. But I'm happy with these ones. And as I say, the paddle plant, see how much it's grown. Let's see how many different plants you've got in there, and I just need to repot them. and I'm going to cut back this and put it in the pots. So there you have it. That's the update. I'll come back to you in a minute. Yeah, so as I said, there you have it. I wanted to kind of just show you what was growing on at here for me, the creative gardener, and ways in which, you know, some of the things I've learned. I've showed you, you know, kind of generally I've learned how to be a bit more patient in terms of the things I want to grow, to experiment, to not be afraid to plant seeds and, you know, battle with the bugs and find ways to deal with them. I'm now I've got some cedar oil which I've really wanted to get, and it's a natural product that you can use around the plants, not really near any plants that produce food, but just kind of, you know, like in the area, and it's done wonders. And so, you know, I've learned so much just by stepping out and not being afraid, and, you know, sometimes being afraid but not allowing fear to stop you from, you know, growing what you want. I want to grow papaya, I want to grow fruits, I want to grow mangoes, I want to have a food forest. And, you know, if you've got the space, you can grow many things. Oh, I really want to show you. Let me just turn. I'll show you the. Can you see at the back there? See it's like orange blossom, but it's not orange blossom. But that's where it's got loads of seeds, and so, you know, I've just been utilising. Why not? It's there. It's just going to fall to the ground, because what would happen is those seeds will fall to the ground, they would grow, and then the guys would come and just cut the grass, and then they would be killed. So I thought to myself, you know, well, why not just grow your own? Anyway, there's so much I'm going to be doing. There's so much I'm going to be doing next year that I really do hope that you come along on the journey. I'm really excited to look back and see how far I've come on my creative journey with the plants. I stand in direct sunlight. That's a better view. I'm so glad that I took the first step, that I wasn't I didn't hesitate, and I think I rose to the challenge of growing and, you know, doing other things. I've just learned so much in the garden space, and, you know, the stuff that comes from the garden, like the wood that I'm growing, the cotton that I'm growing, the you know, we've had a dog now for a year, and hey, good boy. He's a good boy. And learning about dyes, learning about plant dyes, the leaves, the flowers. It's just been amazing, and also just, you know, picking up some new skills. So I started working with wood, carving, and wood burning, and I can incorporate all of that into my mixed media, and it's just really fantastic. And what else? Yeah, so I just hope that, you know, you've had an eventful year, that you're able to look back on your year and see some of the amazing things that you've done, and you're able to now look forward and see, you know, make plans and decisions as to what you would like to do, because there's so much that can be done. And just to have courage, you know, and not to be afraid of planting things, you know, not to be afraid of, you know, you've got like 50 seeds, you know, and you plant 3 because you're trying to, you know, save some. And it's just like, you have to step out, and you'll notice that if you're stepping out in your garden and being brave, that translates and transfers to your own life, because it's part of your life. But you'll see yourself trying things. Well, this is what I found. I found myself being brave in other areas of my life, and looking at symbolically how, when we plant something and we dig a hole, we cover it, and it's in darkness, and then we water it, how that mirrors our own lives, where, situations we can find ourselves in, it feels like, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't take any more. But then with, guidance, with care, with nourishment, you can actually grow out of that situation, and then you look back and you think, oh my gosh, look how far I've come. Anyway, I don't want to take any more of your time. Thank you so much for watching and getting this far. I hope you have a blessed new year, and let me know the kind of things that you've got planned for your new year. Let me know what you're hoping for, what your dreams are, and let's try and make some of these things come true. Why not? Who says? What if? Eh? Anyway, so look forward to seeing you on the other side. Take care for now, and stay blessed and be a blessing. Bye.